Mr. Chairman, every member of this committee can agree that with millions of Americans still out of work, our top focus in Congress should be enacting policies to help spur job creation throughout the country. Our hearings over this Congress have shown that while the Jobs Act has been successful, more still needs to be done to ensure that we refine costly regulations, especially those disproportionately affecting smaller public companies and those who are considering accessing capital in the public markets. While a single regulation's effect may appear insignificant, the combined costs of our regulatory climate produce exponential consequences. One such requirement is related to the use of Extensible Business Reporting Language, or XBRL, which was mandated by the SEC in 2009 and designed to lower the cost of capital for smaller companies and provide more efficient access to information for investors. While the SEC's rule is well intended, this requirement has become another example of a regulation where the costs currently outweigh the potential benefits. In 2012, the SEC's Forum on Small Business Capital Formation final report included a recommendation to reverse the requirement of smaller companies to submit financial information in XBRL format based on its disproportionate burden in terms of cost and time. These companies expend tens of thousands of dollars or more complying with the regulation, yet there is evidence in 2012 Columbia University study that fewer than 10% of investors actually use XBRL, further diminishing its potential benefits to small companies and to investors. That is why Representative Sewell and I have introduced the bipartisan Small Company Disclosure Simplification Act. This amendment, in the nature of a substitute, is a product of constructive negotiations with Representative Sewell, Chairman Hensarling, and Ranking Member Waters, and I appreciate their diligence in working together on this issue to promote capital access. This bill would provide an optional exemption for emerging growth companies and other small public companies from the requirement to file their information in XBRL with the SEC, in addition to the information that they already file through EDGAR. Additionally, our bill requires the SEC to perform a cost-benefit analysis on the rule's impact on smaller public companies, something the SEC failed to adequately address in the original rule. It also requires the SEC to provide an additional report to Congress on how the SEC and the market will use this information in the future. Whether a supporter or a skeptic of XBRL, these provisions will help provide a pathway for the SEC to focus on developing a system of disclosure for smaller companies that eliminates unnecessary costs and focuses on providing real benefits to issuing companies and to investors. It is important to note that nothing in this bill precludes companies from utilizing XBRL for their regulatory filings with the SEC. The exemption is completely optional and allows smaller companies to individually assess whether the costs incurred with compliance are outweighed by any potential benefits from this technology. I believe this bill offers a practical step forward with XBRL requirements in line with the intent of the Jobs Act, ensuring that our regulatory structure is not disproportionately burdening smaller companies and disincentivizing innovative startups from accessing the public markets. I ask my colleagues on the committee to join me in voting yes on H.R. 4164, yes on this amendment in the nature of a substitute, and report it favorably from the committee so we can continue to promote capital access in public markets and spur job growth for companies across the country. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back the balance of my time.